Good morning, loves, and happy Word Wednesday. It's actually a healing Word Wednesday, and the word for today is stop the bleeding. So most of us know about the story about the woman with the issue of blood. She had this bleeding condition for 12 years, and she did all that she could to stop this bleeding, to fix this, to heal this. Spent all her money, went to the doctors and everything, but nobody can fix it. Not in her own power. Nobody can fix it. And so it made me think about us, maybe having some spiritual issues. So you've been bleeding profusely, and everything that you touch is getting impacted by this bleeding condition. This woman was considered to be unclean. So anything she touched was considered to be unclean. I'm sure everything, whether it's money, her family, her business, relationships, everything she touched, she got blood on. Because when we get a cut on our hand or something, it's bleeding a lot, and whatever we touch before we get our hands cleaned, the blood is all over it. And that's how we are spiritually. We are dealing with something. Something is causing us to bleed profusely, and it is impacting our lives negatively. Our family, our money, our relationships, our children, the world around us is being impacted by our bleeding condition. Stop the bleeding. This woman got over herself. No matter what people thought about her, would have said, she could have gotten a lot of trouble, but she said, forget this. I want to stop this bleeding. I want to be healed. So today, God put this on my heart because we need to be healed. So many of us are bleeding. We're bleeding and we think we're hiding it. We think we hide it by putting a bandaid on it, fixing it, rigging it, making it pretty, spending some money on it, eating it, smoking it, whatever the issue may be. Divorce, infidelity, poverty, pride. It's so many things that are causing us to bleed that we have not dealt with. It can be abandonment, parental issues, abuse, molestation, rape, emotional trauma. It's so many things that cause us to bleed, and we try to fix it in our own power, or we try to cover it up, and it's still not working. And people wonder, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with her? Your wife is like, what's wrong with this dude? Your husband's like, what's wrong with her? Friends are like, man, something ain't right with my girl. You're bleeding all over everybody. Finances, everything. You're bleeding. Everything you're touching, your blood is getting on because you have not been healed. And I'm talking about everybody. I'm even talking about me. So this was on my spirit. I said, man, this is serious. We got to stop the bleeding. This woman got over herself. She was like, you know what? I spent all my money. She probably didn't have nobody because nobody wanted to be considered unclean. People probably got away from her. She was just in this house by herself and suffering. She said, you know what? She heard about Jesus and she said, I need a fix. I know that I heard about him and I know he can do something about this. She crawled out. I'm sure she was in a lot of pain, probably dragging the blood as she crawled through the crowd there. You know what I'm saying? So she got to Jesus. She said, if I touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole. And guess what? 12 years she dealt with this and said, that's enough. And she touched the hem of Jesus' garment. She believed. And as soon as she did that, instantly. So how long have you been bleeding? What have you been holding on to? How long is your bleeding condition? 30 years? 32, 15, 12? How long have you been bleeding? How long have you been bleeding? How long will you let this bleeding condition impact your life? How long? Let's stop the bleeding. We can't do it on our own. We can't fix it. We tried to fix it, putting jewels on and makeup and haircuts and all kinds of stuff, and all the things that we do to cover up our trash, all the things we do to cover up our scars. Let's stop the bleeding because that artificial stuff is not working. Drinking it up, eating it up, snorting it up, whatever, having sexing it up, whatever. The things that we do to try to make ourselves better is still not working because it is artificial. But there's a real fix. Jesus is the real fix. We have to be willing with our bloody selves to press and get out there, even if we have to crawl to get to the feet of Jesus so that he will make us whole. Stop the bleeding. Aren't you ready for your life to be what God called it to be? The thing that happened to you back then, it really wasn't supposed to be the whole story of your life. It's just a chapter so that you can keep on going and help somebody else. Everything happens for a reason and a purpose. I keep talking about that. Even though we hate it, it's unfortunate, it stinks. but it's not to keep us bound. Jesus died. He came, bled, and died and rose again so that we would not have to stay in this mess. Stop the bleeding. All we have to do is get over ourselves. Go to Jesus. Believe that he can do it and the bleeding will stop. We don't have to carry it. She carried it for 12 years. Got to him, pressed out, touched him, and it was done in an instant. In an instant. So let's stop bleeding. It may hurt to expose the wounds, to dig up old stuff, but your life will continue to be in this rut. You'll continue to go in circles, doing the same thing over and over again. Or you think just because you haven't done it in 12 years, year 13, it comes back up. Oh, I thought I was over it. Nah, you still bleeding. Let's heal the right way. Let's not bubble gum it. Let's not make it pretty, but let's stop bleeding. Jesus is waiting. This is what he came for. Let's give it to him. I love you all. I really pray that this helped you. It definitely helped me. Comment, like, or share with somebody that you know needs this kind of encouragement. We have Jesus. We don't have to keep living like this. Let's stop the bleeding. I love you. Bye.